think you had visited the Masters maybe in the late 80s, but 1992, you not only visited the Augusta National Golf Club, you were leading after the third round, heading into the last round. I mean, it must be an incredible feeling just to drive up Magnolia Lane. For all us amateurs, I guess it's a lifelong dream, not only to head up Magnolia Lane, but to find yourself in the last pairing. Talk us through that whole experience.
The funny thing about that is I actually went through the workers' entrance. I didn't actually drive up Magnolia Lane until later on. Augusta is a tournament that I've always loved getting up early for as a youngster, just like you guys would have, to watch the tournament on the TV. And it was a golf course that I knew really well. And when I got to the Augusta in 1990 was my first year, I felt as though I could play it. And then I felt as though the golf course was ready to be, go out and score really well. They hadn't cut the rough around the water hazards and things like that. I'm thinking, well, I can get around here. As soon as you come to Thursday morning, all the banks had been shaved and the ball would run into the water. It was a big learning curve playing the first one. And then the second one, you come back, a very similar thing had happened. They let the grass grow up until, Wednesday afternoon, then they cut it down for Thursday. But you knew what you were going to expect on that Thursday morning. Where the flag placements are going to go, they were very similar to the year before. And everyone does the same type of things. Plays the same shots, the bogeys at the same time. And you had to have a game plan for Augusta. And, my game plan was to keep it under the hole all the time. And I played really well tee to green. I didn't putt very well on that Sunday.
Who were you paired with in the final pairing on the Sunday?
I was paired with Freddie Couples. And and Baker Finch was paired with Raymond Floyd, the group in front. Now, I think if Ian or I were paired together, one of us may have won that event, but obviously ifs and buts and couldas and shouldas, and it's just one of those things that if I was a little bit older, I might have been able to handle the crowd a little bit better. They did get very vocal and got into me mentally as far as playing the tournament when they should have had no reason to get in there at all.
It's tough, yeah. I did read that, and it's something I was going to discuss with you because Freddie's a favourite, whether you're an Australian or a New Zealander or clearly in his own backyard, America. So, he had a lot of support, but yeah, I did read that they were, particularly vocal towards yourself and trying to will Freddie over the line.
Yeah, they were, and they did. They would squeak in the chairs, and when they sit on the side of the green and you're over the putt, they're rocking backwards and forwards in the chairs. And, when I was going to the 17th hole in the third round, I'm playing with Woosnam, and one of the spectators stopped us as we were trying to get to the tee and said, why don't you let one of the Americans win? And Woosie told him in no uncertain terms on where to go. And, that was just what was happening. And after the tournament itself, I had Davis Love actually come up to me and he said, look, don't take it personal. He said, it happened to me a few weeks earlier in the LA Open. And that gave me a lot of comfort in knowing that it's, not us versus them. It's just a Freddie thing.
Okay. So, yeah, it was a near miss there, I guess, in hindsight. But you had a good look. You're in the last pair and clearly you're enjoying yourself up in America. I wanted to come back, though, to Australia. I noticed you were very strong in your team events. You represented Australia both in Dunhill Cups and World Cups. We spoke earlier about your amateur team events that you played for your state. Focusing on the President's Cup, you played in 3 President's Cup, but it's the 1998 one, I guess, that's the absolute standout. It's the only international team to have won the event. It was a massive thing for Australia. I was actually working at Royal Melbourne during that period, and a inside the ropes look at things. How did the week look for you, and what were your memories of that time?
Oh, that was a fantastic week. Peter Thompson was our captain. Wayne Grady was our assistant captain, and we had a lot of guys playing really good golf. However, the American team on paper were a better team than what we were. But we were a team and they were a bunch of individuals. And that's as simple as it was. And, our guys played exceptional golf and maybe the Americans didn't play as good as what they normally would have. However, Peter Thompson did the right thing by everyone. We all went in the bus each day. We come home in the bus each day. We ate breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together. And the way you had all the four balls and foursomes set up, everyone was comfortable on who they were playing with. I played with Shigeki Mariyama as my partner, and we had a great time that week. And, we're very good friends.
I've still got that wonderful memory on 18 East, or was 18 Composite as well, where Mariyama chipped in. And
no, that was me.
So you chipped in.
I chipped in, yeah.
And it's incredible. He was in broken English saying, "Mr. Parry, very, very good." It was just wonderful. You guys are embracing. You could speak English, he couldn't, but it was a universal language that you were both speaking. It was great.
Yeah, he was a fantastic partner to have. And, we'd played quite a bit in Japan prior to the President's Cup. And, we were comfortable with each other. I could speak a little bit of Japanese, not much. And he had his broken English at that time. Now he speaks perfect English. And, he putted really well that week as well. I was reading the greens very, very clearly I knew what line on the greens to putt and where to hit it around the hole. And, I just had to point him in the right direction and say, look, hit it right of the hole, just under the hole, and we'll just have a chance of making our birdie that way. And that's really what it boiled down to. Just putting him in the right position on the hole. And as you know, Royal Melbourne, you've got to always play from under the hole.
Yeah, so a little bit like Augusta, I guess you were mentioning, and perhaps Titirangi mentioned earlier. Yeah, I mean, what was different about that team? It's been interesting how many Presidents' Cup we've had now, and the internationals have come close, I guess, on a number of occasions. But I mean, what was different with that team? You've talked about a little bit of that camaraderie and the pairings.
Yeah, I think it was, obviously we got a little bit of luck, and you do need to have a little bit of luck. The American team is always going to be very strong, and they're used to playing those type of formats with the Ryder Cup every second year, and they've got the President's Cup, in the other year. So they get used to playing four ball and foursome, and they go out and play, and they use the same golf ball. A lot of them use the Titleist golf ball, whereas the international team is a little bit different. You've got people from different countries, not necessarily speaking all English, and not everyone uses the same type of golf ball. So when you have to play in a President's Cup, and you might have to use a Bridgestone ball because your partner is using a Bridgestone ball, you have to get across that really quick. And the golf ball is going to react different to what your golf ball was. I was using a Maxfly in my early days, and to try and use either a Titleist or a Bridgestone or a Nike or whatever it may be, there was a change.